over to you, Dan, for your case study.
Cool. Okay, so let's start. So this is a presentation of my case study. Basically, it covers the whole process that I passed in the workshop, in the course. So to understand the customer pain points, to ideate on how to help the customer, validate the minimal viable offer, experiment with no-code solution, and learn, obviously, and invest in the long term. And now I'm going to open and more explain a bit what was the process. So basically, the first iteration was to hit the problem statement, to basically understand what is the issue with what's the issue, what's the pain point of the customer, and how can we help. The hypothesis that I declared was that people that like to have vacations with a camper are currently frustrated by the existing solutions. Their ideal situation is easy to use service that helps them to find campers and take care of the details. The basically buzzwords or the interest fields are the freedom to go to anywhere, carefree vacation, hassle-free, to be in the nature, to take their own equipment, looking for new experiences, and looking to get out of the city. This is the focus, basically. Hypothesis number one is that renting camper is complicated and a real acute problem. I basically declared it also based on my own experience and friends' experiences, and starting the process is we followed to do user interviews. I've done 4 user interviews that gave quite clear feedback. I collected it in a nice Excel sheet to make it qualitative, and yeah, basically the whole problems that I collected from the users or the people that I communicated with, about the options, about the rental, the problem that people meet with when they're renting cars, and it gave me very good perception and understanding about how basically, let's say like that, I can help people to solve their issues and can go forward. It gave me also a good feeling that, yeah, there is an acute problem and it's not only something that I think by myself. So it validated the first hypothesis that I created, and now I can follow the process, continue. The hypothesis number 2 is that we can attract our niche with the following compelling minimal viable offer. And this was created after some iterations. We simplify.
Dan, sorry.
Okay, we come back. A small pause. Okay, the hypothesis number 2 is that basically that we can attract our niche with the following compelling minimal viable offer. We simplify motorhome rentals so you can enjoy hassle-free vacation. This was the most important. Renting motorhome from the calls that I had with people is complicated. Basically, there is a lot of preparations that people need to do, from small things like choosing the routes, but big things like insurances. So there's 2 kinds of insurances: the car, if the car breaks, and the other insurances, of course, if you make an accident. And there's a lot of other details like what equipment you need to take with you, if you have a kid or not, if they pick you, if they sit near the airport, if the camper sit near the airport, and a lot of other issues that make it extremely complicated. I'm speaking more about it because if we compare it to other services like Airbnb, you come to an apartment, it's there. It's not complicated. If you rent the car, you just rent the car. But this is a bit combination of the both. And if we want to basically give an add-on value, we have to target, let's say, like the main pain points that the customers have. Out of that hypothesis, basically, we created an OKR, is that to create a survey, and that 15 people will complete the survey. And the outcome was that 22 people completed the survey. The nice thing was the 2 of them were referenced by other people. This didn't even got for me, which means that there is a lot of attraction and people are very interested in the subject. I was focused on the survey. On this first survey, I was really focused on the people that renting the campers and not on the renters. And one of them was a guy with the camper that completely opened me, that I realized that obviously we have to start to take care of that too. And I will take care of that in the following steps. To validate the MVO, the minimal viable offer, as a foundation for our product and vision and strategy moving forward. which will result, which resulted also a few iterations on this MVO. That's what I said before. That's why we came to this statement. This is the first page of the survey from the customer side. The survey is still accessible. The link I think was here. No, I will later. There's the links that will come later. Okay, I'll continue. Validated product vision. People like to rent camper hassle-free. So hypothesis number 3, that we can map our specific solution to fit our niche and build brand guidelines. And this basically, let's call it that, it's iterations on the solution or an idea. We pass the ideation, we understand that there is a good problem, and we want to start to create a solution to see if you can really hit and help the customers. We've done some iteration on the story brand that I really enjoyed from, and I added it here, and also created the customer journey and wireframes. I have here specifically the links, but this is the examples. So the story brand is basically to, let's say like that, to really deal with the brand from all the directions. Very interesting and very open-minded. Yeah, same as with the wireframes. I know it's very basic, but it was to hit the customer and to understand what do we want to go for, what is the direction. So yeah, I'm going to continue. Hypothesis number 4, that we can have a ready application and design to support the next steps. So the idea was to create a no-code application with Bubble. What I've done basically, I created another survey for the host and survey for the renter. I created basically a minimum page, let's say like that, with links that lead you to the surveys. The idea was to create lists behind that we can start to use when we have a running website. So we have renters, and then we have hosts, and for them we basically can continue forward. I also created the Figma prototype. We can see it here. So from the left, we can see the website. When you will click on request early access, you will get a box that open and give you a question if you're an owner or a renter. And according to that, it will take you to the right survey. From the right side is the Figma prototype. I'm not intending to be a designer, but this was the very basic first solution to show what is the idea. It's aligned to a couple of other websites that we have in the markets, like Airbnb and other ones. And the idea basically is to see later how customers interact with it. Yeah, basically the next steps that should happen after that is to map the product market fit. What it means is basically to start to create a whole iteration with the customers and the solution, and to adjust the website based on the results that we get from this, to test with users to get input, and create implementation list based on job to be done. I created some basic lists just for the start, but obviously this will change according to the next steps. So this is, for example, the list that I have, like really basic start of requirements, let's call it like that. I want to be able to book a mobile home from my phone in few steps. And this is a big issue, and it includes everything like billing, etc. I want to have a clear view of all my costs. This is from both of them, of these last two things, is from the renter side. From the host, I want to be able to list my mobile home and the available dates. And I want to be able to book an extra equipment. Sorry, this is from the renter side. I want to be able to book an extra equipment as a child seat. So this is the process basically that I passed with the course. It was really good for me. I think that there is a lot of potential for camper rentals, and I think that is a really good idea, honest, to go forward with it. However, at the moment, I think for me this is what I got the outcome that I wanted, let's say, from the course. And yeah, if I will feel ever in the near future to do a twist and to start to run this camper website, I'm ready for that. So this is my my presentation.
Give the idea to someone else as well to put into action. Nice, really good. Nice. I'm going to go over specific points from the case study, and then just some like general, I think, a couple of next steps I think that make sense for you. So I think general comments. I thought it was quite clear, but I felt it was like rushed rather than fast in a way. right? I think the tone, you know, for example, I think again, thinking of how do you pitch this internally? If you keep this like really accelerated voice, I do this as well at times wrongly. So I think it's about keeping that like rhythm, bringing rhythm in to like highlight key points. So for example, when you bring in like the problem statement or the vision, using pause, right? Really stating the vision clearly and bold. So I think focus on, I think it's something to improve upon is like sort of tone of voice and what we call cadence, right? The sort of rhythm. As a small presentation thing. Linked to that as well, I felt there's a slight lack of storytelling. So I'm going to send you Louisa's version of case study at some point, and it's a great example. Everything really flows together really well. So like you go from, you know, I started with this problem, and then, you know, I said, well, I need to run this first experiment to understand what is this actually a problem. So when it got to the hypothesis one side, it's like, oh, that just makes sense, right? You see this slide, oh yeah, that makes sense because it ties in really nicely with this story. So it's all building up really, really well. So I think that was another thing lacking there, so the sort of storytelling and then tone of voice. On the specifics, though, the core of it was good. Right? I think the actual, you know, slides themselves. So that the problem, the wording was very clear. Again, it felt like that that's, you know, that emphasis as you presented it. I liked how you added these sort of interest fields below. You know, there's sort of like clusters or common themes maybe. I think it's a cool idea to have. You know, at some point you could sort of, you know, if you did this, you know, more research, you could have like a, you know, the word cloud, or you could have like a theme map, for example. And actually one of the new versions of the assignment coming in is going to be this sort of clustered themes. I think that's the kind of thing that's perfect just to put in a visual of like, here's what people are saying. Hypothesis one. Yeah, good. You explained, so you had the visual right. I worried you say, oh, here's the Excel, and then you're going to skip on to the hypothesis two, but you paused to explain, you know, what is this? It's problems from the users, and we're sort of aggregating them and quantifying those conversations. So that was very good. Hypothesis two was good, very clear. Here you started storytelling at this point, actually. So in the first half felt like it was all sort of throwing lots of things quickly, sort of at me as the listener. From this point, you started storytelling well. You talked about the complexities involved that you discovered from your research. So what are you doing there? You're showing the value of the research. You're showing how you're evolving your ideas and sort of getting better. So again, if you're pitching this, what you're doing is reinforcing that hey, this process is really valuable. Great signs with referral as well. I think you could have, you know, made that even a bigger thing. So like that never happens with new products. So we're really, you know, there's really, really good signs here. And again, it's, you know, obviously it's a different situation, but if you're pitching to get buy-in for this opportunity you're looking at from stakeholders, these kind of things are so important, right? Because they might assume, well, everyone gets referrals. It's like, no, you know, 1 in 20 might get a couple of referrals. So you really need to sort of big that up and sell it effectively. I loved as well that, you know, personally, like you're talking about your learning and your aha or sort of moments of insight, right, from those conversations, and how it's sort of, you know, you said you had a conversation with one guy who's, I realized, you know, someone wants to rent their camper van as well. These kinds of things, again, it really helps the journey, the storytelling. They're super memorable as well. And these sort of snippets of stories, that's the only thing people are going to remember after a presentation. The hypothesis two, the survey was good, really nice visual. You explained what it was very clearly. I like the vision statement as well. I think really clear and simple. And I liked as well, you didn't try and reinvent the wheel. And it's the same thing with the jobs to be done. You know, don't reinvent the wheel, just get that core functionality really good, right? Hassle-free. People just want like clear dates, clear options, extra equipment, simple as that. If you do that really, really well, you're going to have a really good business with this. The landing page, I think one thing I would do is, you know, obviously if you built this out more, you would probably target both groups with separate landing pages, right? With this template we teach, right? So you're going to have that big value proposition statement, short paragraph on what we do and how we deliver value, and then those 3 benefits for the different audiences. So I think you'd segment them off quite quickly if they come to your homepage. Yeah, again, jobs to be done was very good. I thought these were really simple and just focused on core functionality. I think that is a really good learning for you as well, is, you know, this unique, we talk about this sort of unique insight, right? What drives your product, that unique value. It doesn't need to be something super clever, right? Sometimes it's just simplicity, right? Reliability, for example. In this case, it's just remove the hassle. That is a unique value proposition. I think you obviously realize that with why you're focused on it. So I think that's a really good learning there as a product leader. And then, general comments, I think, firstly, like fun having you on the program, definitely. And I think you've thrown yourself into this as someone that's a bit more senior. I think it's quite easy to not be humble and say, right, I'm happy to sort of start from zero and build up. And I think you've done that really well, which is not easy. And I think two specific points from me would be, do continue with the product market fit engine. Like, do give yourself a couple of, like, even just 2 or 3 tests. Every single person that does this without fail, when they talk about this on the case study, it's always like, wow, like, the ideas that just came from even one test completely changed how I was approaching it. So that realization is ultimately what I want you to get, is realize, don't try and second guess the market. Don't try and be too clever. Don't think you're going to have the best ideas. You do one test, you're going to come back with like 3 or 4 awesome ideas to improve the solution already. So I'd say just, get a couple of tests done with friends, for example, or like next time you go to the pub for a drink or something, sit down with someone and just be like, hey, here's this app I put together. Do you mind if I test it for 5-10 minutes? It's a really profound lesson to have, to do it in practice. And I think also it's something that you can and you should do in the first 2 weeks of your new role, right? It's auditing the existing product, right? It's user testing, but it's also about value testing and informing the roadmap, right? And saying, okay, well, there might be an existing roadmap here. Does it really make sense? Let me do that testing myself. So I'd say really, really put the product market fit engine into practice. And I think the second thing is just ultimately like putting everything we've taught into practice in your new role within the first month. You're not going to radically change the whole organization, but you should be, lining around, okay, speaking to customers, defining a vision, defining a product strategy. And, after you do the first 2 months, let's say, of delivery, start changing the roadmap based around whatever that new strategy is. And on that, first thing, product market fit engine, I think just aim to do that in the next few weeks. Second thing, we're going to do a big re-release of the content from the 7th of June. And it's going to be way more actionable, everything's in Miro, so it's going to be super easy to put things into practice with a team. So my suggestion would be to go through the course again in July, for example, over 1 month. Just so that you're ready to, then when you go into a new role, you can say, right, I'm ready to actually, and confident as well, to put all of these things into action. Does that make sense?
Very makes sense. I'm really thankful for all the tips, the tools, and the knowledge. And to start from basic, honestly, it's a must, I think, in that case, because without starting from basic, you don't understand the user needs. And I think this is
exactly, it doesn't work if you're not humble. It doesn't work, and that's our main filter, right? Is before you get to the program. If you don't have humility, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, if you want to succeed in life in general, you have to make your hands dirty.
Yeah, 100%, exactly, and be fine, comfortable knowing that you're probably wrong lots of the time.
Yeah, completely. And this is what the customers help you to understand. What is the pain point? And I think this is also the most focus of the program. What is the main point? And I really like it, because in the end, we create add-on value for the customer. And if we don't do it, there is no reason to create a product.
Exactly. And I like that. I mean, that's exactly it is. It's not only understanding, we need to focus on customer and unique value. It's having the persistent and realizing that we have to stay focused on this. We're not going to get distracted, and just we are staying super, super focused on this unique value. I think that's the most important thing ultimately.
Exactly. So I really, really appreciate all the input that I got from the course in general. And I'm going to definitely do more, because there's still the material that I didn't touch.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. You got time to go back to. I'm going to do a new invite for the new version of the cohort content.
But the cohort 4 are going to stay as is, right?
It will stay as is. I'm going to send a new invite for cohort 5, just because I need to release it week by week, essentially.
Perfect.
But everyone's going to get access to that, and it's the best upgrade we've done since the first session, the first cohort. So I'm quite excited about it. Working on it at the moment. But awesome. Look, thanks so much, Dan. It's been honestly really fun working with you on this, and we'll definitely meet up for a beer probably end of summer in person if I'm allowed out of the UK.
For sure. I hope that everything will come better in Berlin also.
I think so. Nice one. Well, look, have a good weekend. Also, enjoy your 2 months off as well. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And awesome. Speak soon then.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.